What's up, Rob?
What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They wanna let the world decay. They tell us lies and fade away, fade away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. Listen up now, because we're never dropping out. Beat the odds, beat the big house. The brains are bigger than the doubt. We've been thinking for ourselves, never let the truth fade away. This is bigger than ourselves, we won't let the world burn away, burn away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. To blame, haters face the
What's up, guys?
Hey daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank you for watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her coochie loves that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Welcome, everybody. I am Will Bird, and apparently my calling is to explain egg prices to MAGA. I don't know if you guys have been watching my TikTok. I don't know how many of you guys watch it or don't watch it. I don't know. But my best performing video in months is about egg prices. Okay? Now, when I ask you a question, and I want you to be honest, okay? Let's say you're driving by a school. So you're in a school zone. Okay? And a cop pulls you over and writes you a ticket for going 150 miles an hour. You're probably going to jail at that speed, but let's just say he writes you a ticket for going 150 miles an hour. Right? Makes sense? Then let's say, just a second. Then let's say you go to court and you got all this trouble, like there's fines, there's fees, they're probably going to take your license, you could face jail time, blah, blah, blah. Then you go to court and you find out that you were actually doing 9 miles an hour. Not 90, not 99. You were actually doing 9 miles an hour. Now, when faced with this person of authority, the cop, would you be like, he didn't lie, he just exaggerated a little bit? Or would you be like, fuck you, you lied. You clearly lied. You took something that may or may not have happened, and you exaggerated it to a specific point to where it's a lie. It is beyond like, you fudged the numbers a little bit, right? Because that's the same scenario Trump's doing, okay? If you don't know, 9 is 6% of 150, right? Which would be a 94% reduction, okay? And I got into an argument with a bunch of people, but one of them was like, they said, hey, just be happy egg prices are going down. And I'm like, I'm not here to say egg prices won't come down. They may come down. Maybe they've already went down, depending on where you're at, or the president controls egg prices. What I'm saying is Trump lied. And they said, no, he didn't. And I said, you just told me in one of your comments that you bought eggs for $5 a dozen. Okay? Unless you were paying over $100 a dozen on January 20th, or you're currently paying under 50 cents a dozen, you're lying. He lied. He lied about the price. He said in the conference, he said, he was talking to a news reporter, and he said, as you know, egg prices, since our administration took over, have gone down 93 or 94%. That's a crazy lie. Like, just admit it and move the fuck on. But they can't because they're in a cult. The same way he can't admit it. Like, if you asked him, you said egg prices went down 94%. They haven't. There's no way they went. He would just say, I didn't say that. I didn't mean that. What I meant was 94% of the time we're having a reduction in the price, 1%. They can't admit it. Someone said, let's just do what the liberals do and say he misspoke. I can tell you when someone lies. Joe Biden said that he would never pardon his son Hunter. He did. That was a lie. I have no problem telling you when somebody lies. Okay? Because I don't worship the person. My entire life doesn't revolve around this person. I don't have to repeat everything that falls out of his mouth. These people are fucking insane, dude. It's pretty scary at this point. It's pretty scary. But I do have a shit ton of views. Hold on, I'll show you. So I just posted this yesterday, and it's got 30,000 views on it already. It actually started here.
Of Trump lying. Just the other day, he said that Trump supporters, how are you not tired of Trump lying? Just the other day, he said that during his administration, since he took office, that eggs have dropped 94%. 94% drop in the price of eggs, okay? Eggs where I live got to a high of like $6. That'd mean they're like 36 cents a dozen now. 36 cents a dozen. There's no way eggs dropped 94%.
So for this is what would happen. This is an easy way to figure out how much eggs would cost if they dropped 94%. Round what you pay in eggs to the dollar. So let's say they're $4.99, so that's $5, right? Or they're $5.99, that's $6. And then multiply that by 6 for 6%. So and that'll be your answer in cents. So if eggs were $6 a dozen on January 20th, then right now they should be 36 cents a dozen. If they were $5 a dozen on January 20th when he took office, right now they would be 30 cents a dozen. That's the dumbest lie. That's the dumbest of all lies. If they were $10 a dozen, right now they would be 60 cents a dozen. If they were $20, people are saying crazy shit in the comments, but let's say they were $20 a dozen, they would be $1.20 a dozen right now. That's insane. That's crazy, right? It doesn't make any sense. I would appreciate it more if he would at least lie like closer to the truth. If he would have said eggs have come down 30%, I'd be like, I don't know. That's probably not accurate. It still shows that they're kind of up. We haven't got the April data yet, but maybe that's true. Maybe that's true. I don't know. But anyways, someone responded to this. This isn't the video that got all the views. It's this one.
The cost of eggs has come.
No, it's the next one. Someone said, I didn't hear him say that. I even looked it up and couldn't find anything, which I think this might even be a bot right here. I think this might be a bot. He responded really quick, and he's like, I didn't see it. I didn't hear him say it. I even looked it up. But literally, if you can see down here at the bottom of this video, the search term I used was Trump says eggs down 94%. And the name of the video is Trump says eggs has come down like 93, 94% since he took office. So they didn't search for it. They just lied.
94% since we took office, and they're pretty much normally priced now. Great job, our Secretary of Agriculture.
Sounds like that's what he said. You can watch the video too. It's on YouTube. Under the exact same thing I said. Trump says the cost of eggs has come down like 93, 94%. It was live on Fox News.
As you know, the cost of eggs has come down like 90.
I'm going to speak slow because I feel.
All right, so this is the one that got all the traction. So again, this person, imagine if I said, Trump said the sky was red from noon until 2 p.m. But I went outside and the sky is blue from noon to 2 p.m. And then they said, red is a color Blue is a color. So again, the claim here is that it was reduced. The price was reduced by 94%. So this person says, 18 eggs with Biden was $12. I just picked up the same eggs this weekend and paid $4.99. Love our president. I don't believe this, first of all, but even if this was true, this is not a 94% reduction. So this video is the one that took off.
I feel like you understand slow. I'm going to speak slow because I feel like you understand slow. It says 18 eggs with Biden was $12. I just picked up the same eggs this weekend and paid $4.99. Let's call it $5. We'll make it easy. Love our president. So even if I accept this lie, I do not believe this for a second, but even if I accept this lie is true, let's say, hypothetically, I'm going to say, okay, the price went from $12 to $5. Is it your understanding that 5 is 6% of 12? Let's make the numbers even easier. Let's say it went from 12 to 6. That would be 50% off, a 50% drop in the price. Well, you're sitting at about 60% there, rough math.
I swear to God, if Trump said that eggs had dropped in price 100%, meaning they're free, people would be like, well, I only paid $3.99 for them. What does that mean?
Do you believe that 5 is 6% of 12? I'm going to speak slow because I feel like you understand. I'm so glad you shared this link.
And then, of course, the same link that always comes up is the trading economics link. I hate this link. This link is the bane of my existence. It is I know I've beat you guys to death because you watch the show all the time. This is a link for contract for difference. Sage, how'd the election go? Any protesters yet?
I can teach the MAGA people something, okay? I've been screaming from the rooftops. They don't understand this. You're going to pretend like you don't understand it. It doesn't matter or whatever, but I'm going to teach you anyways. This link is not current egg prices, okay? This link is for contract for difference on egg prices. People that don't even own the commodity, they don't even own eggs. They are betting on a difference between the opening of the price and the closing of the price.
So this person that I'm responding to came back and says, liberals talking about economics is the fastest way to be poor. So I responded, says the guy who didn't know the difference between CFD market and the price of a commodity. They didn't respond anymore. I think they blocked me.
I would get all these views from proving that MAGA can't do.
If you can't admit that this was just a lie, just say it. This should be the litmus test for if you're in a cult. If you say something like, he exaggerated, or tell me what egg prices are now, or tell me something Biden did, or if you can't just say, he lied when he said the price dropped 94%, you are in a cult. I said Trump said the price dropped 96%. That is impossible. They said Biden's eggs. I don't think you understand how big I don't think they understand how big a drop 96% is. Imagine gas is $3 a gallon. Okay, imagine gas is $3 a gallon. And Donald Trump does something to drop the $3 a gallon gas 96%. You would be paying 12 cents a gallon. That would be news every fucking where. No? If gas went from $3 a gallon, national average, to 12 cents a gallon, that would be mega news everywhere. So if eggs dropped 96% in January, February, March, in 3 months, it would be news everywhere. Again, if you went from paying $5 a dozen, you would currently be paying 30 cents a dozen. I don't think they understand what that actually means when he says words. I don't think they can comprehend it. I know they can't admit when he fucked up. They can't admit when he lies. They can't admit when he's wrong. They can't even fathom the the 34 felony counts, the first thing they say is, oh, the made up felonies in the court that doesn't exist. Well, Biden crime family, ABC's news where he said they were down 87%. So now he's saying 87%, which is, closer or better, I guess. I don't understand it. I really don't. I have, let's see, what do we want to talk about? Imagine you're me, or you live where I live in Tennessee, okay? And all of a sudden, crime ticks up a few percentage points in North Carolina. Or, let's say crime ticks up a few percentage points in North Carolina. So crime goes up a little bit, and the news is portraying it pretty heavily. And we're sitting in Tennessee saying, damn, 132%. They're paying you to take the eggs. We're like, damn, crime's getting pretty bad in North Carolina. So the president opens up a buffer zone between Tennessee and North Carolina, the entire border of Tennessee and North Carolina, makes it a military base, and puts active duty military there because the crime went up in North Carolina and Tennessee felt scared, I guess. You see how crazy that sounds? That sounds insane, right? Because we can't be policed by federal troops. Posse comitatus, right? We cannot be policed by federal troops. It's a slippery slope when you start bringing in active duty military to engage with citizens. It's always been viewed as bad. And Trump, with his buffer zone on the border, is literally just one step away from being on your state's border, right? I'm not saying Trump will do this. He's a lunatic. But someone down the road will say, oh, they made the southern border a buffer zone inside the United States on American soil and put troops there. Who's to say we can't make D.C. a buffer zone? Who's to say we can't make Oklahoma a buffer zone? Who's to say we can't make the panhandle of Texas? You know, they could move it anywhere. So here's the latest article out of this is The Guardian, I think. U.S. charges migrants over entering military buffer zone on Mexico border. At least 28 people charged in federal court as civil liberties groups condemn enhanced militarization of borderlands. U.S. Department of Justice has begun the first criminal prosecutions of migrants for entering the newly declared military buffer zone created along the border with Mexico, according to the court filings, Reuters reported. At least 28 migrants were charged in federal court in Las Cruces, New Mexico, on Monday for crossing into the 170-mile-long, 60-foot-wide militarized buffer zone patrolled by active-duty U.S. troops. To me, as long as they're still following all the laws, right? To me, the actual troops being on the border aren't that big a deal. I mean, I don't want them like fucking shooting people that are just trying to survive or starve. As long as they're following the law, just as if it was the same as Border Patrol, they're doing the exact. To me, that's not the big deal. The big deal is U.S. troops anywhere on U.S. sovereign soil opens up a window for them to be everywhere in the U.S. Pete Hegseth, the defense secretary, we're going to talk about him in a minute. Pete Hegseth, the defense secretary, visited the area last week and said it was the start of the plan to extend the buffer zone along the border. It's 170-mile long, 60-foot wide. They're basically calling it a military base that is 170 miles long and 60 foot wide. That's how they're trying to do it. The reason we're here today at almost the 100-day mark of the President Trump's administration is because you're standing on the national defense area. This may as well be a military base, Hegseth said in a Defense Department social media video posted online. Any illegal attempting to enter that zone is entering a military base. As New Mexicans, we have deep concerns about the enhanced militarization of our borderland communities, the American Civil Liberties Union of New Mexico said in a statement last week. The expansion of military detention powers in the New Mexico National Defense Area also known as the border buffer zone, represents a dangerous erosion of constitutional principle that the military should not be policing civilians. Again, the military should not be policing civilians. Court document, and somebody in the future, whether it's Trump or not, I guarantee you somebody's going to try this. They're going to say, well, the military just said there's a buffer zone, or the president just said there's a buffer zone between the U.S. and, Mexico on U.S. soil. What if we want a buffer zone for the whole city of blah, 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 whatever. Insert city here. The whole city of New York City. That's a buffer zone now. Court documents showed migrants detained in the areas were charged with both crossing the U.S.-Mexico border illegally and entering a restricted area. So they're able to stack crimes on them now for entering the restricted area as well. Customs and Border Protection maintains jurisdiction over illegal border crossings in the area, and troops would hand over migrants they detained to U.S. Border Patrol or other civilian law enforcement, according to the Defense Department. Troops have yet to arrest any migrants or other trespassers with so-called New Mexico National Defense Area, according to Major Jeffrey Carmichael, a U.S. Army spokesperson. Now, the reason that he can deploy National Guard to the border is because National Guard don't typically fall under the posse comitatus, depending on what they're doing, and they weren't actually engaging with anybody. When the National Guard was down there, my friends, my buddies, we were down there when it was literally just seeing people and radioing them in, right? You didn't have a weapon. You weren't running around the desert. You weren't even in a vehicle. We were on watch points, and you would see, like, say, I see 3 adult males, 1 female, 1 minor, they're at this, and you would send them a location. That was it. And the Border Patrol did everything else. The area was created with the transfer of 110,000 acres of federal land to the U.S. Army. The idea of militarizing the border has long been a dream of far-right politicians like the failed Arizona candidate for U.S. Senate, Blake Masters, who devoted a campaign ad to the idea in 2022. The buffer zone allowed the Trump administration to use troops to arrest migrants without invoking the 1807 Insurrection Act that empowers a president to deploy the U.S. military to suppress events like civil disorder. Again, they plan on making this the entire border. They plan on expanding this, okay? And it doesn't go well with Trump's new EO. I'm pulling up the actual EO. Strengthening and unleashing America's law enforcement to pursue criminals and protect innocent citizens. That sounds like a good title, right? We want a strong law enforcement that can pursue criminals and protect innocents, right? Don't we? Well, by the authority vested in me as the president, by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America. By the way, if you like the show, if you enjoy the show, if you get some out of the show, if I make you laugh, something, please consider going to coldbeer.fund and supporting the show. We could use the support right now. And if you can't, just make sure to like, share, tell somebody about the show, ask them to watch it, send them the link. It's something. We're trying to grow. As president by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, it is hereby ordered. Safe communities rely on the backbone of and heroism of tough and well-equipped police force. My administration is steadfastly committed to empowering state and local law enforcement to firmly police dangerous criminal behavior and protect innocent civilians. When local leaders demonize law enforcement and impose legal and political handcuffs that make aggressively enforcing the law impossible, crime thrives, and innocent civilians and small business owners suffer. My administration will therefore establish best practices at a state and local level for cities to unleash high-impact local police forces, protect and defend law enforcement officers wrongly accused and abused by state or local officials, and surge resources to officers in need. My administration will work to ensure that law enforcement officers across America focus on ending crime, not pursuing harmful, illegal race and sex-based equity policies. The result will be a law-abiding society in which tenacious law enforcement officers protect the innocent, violations of law are not tolerated, and American communities are safely enjoyed by all their citizens again. Not horrible, right? Not horrible. legal defense of law enforcement officers. The Attorney General shall take all appropriate actions to create a mechanism to provide legal resources and indemnification to law enforcement officers who unjustly incur expenses and liabilities for actions taken during the performance of their official duties to enforce the law. The mechanism shall include the use of private sector pro bono assistance for such law enforcement officers. So the federal government is now getting involved in defending law enforcement officers accused of whatever it might be, right? Whatever that might be. He shut down, didn't he shut down the civil, what was the thing he shut down? He shut down the Department of Justice civil something. It was like the group that investigated these violations by law enforcement all around the US. I can't remember the name of it. Civil Liberties something, Civil Rights Department. I don't know if it was that simple. I mean, it could be. Maybe I'm wrong. And now he's offering assistance. He's offering pro bono law enforcement. He's directing the Attorney General to help them out. It seems kind of biased because sometimes cops do fuck up. Empowering state and local law enforcement. This goes through a bunch of things about provide new best practices of state and local law enforcement to aggressively police communities against all crimes, expand access and improve the quality of training available to state and local law enforcement. I hate the militarization of local law enforcement. Like, I live in a town with fucking no crime, basically. And we got fucking armored Humvees and fully automatic fucking machine guns and shit on the police. It's insane. Like, there is a little bit more need in the town I live in just because of nuclear plant, but it's overkill already in our town. And there are other towns that have like mounted machine guns on top of armored fucking MRAPs. Like, it's insane. But that's the right wing go-to. Expand access and improve the quality of training available to state and local law enforcement. Increase pay and benefits for law enforcement officers. How the fuck is the Attorney General and the federal government going to increase pay and benefits for local law enforcement? Strengthen and expand legal. I'm hoping a lot of this is just rah, rah, rah. Like, we love the police, except when my supporters are trying to beat them to death with a flagpole to change the election. You know, I'm hoping this is all bullshit. But it's in paper anyways. Strengthen and expand legal protections for law enforcement officers. Strengthen and expand legal protections for law enforcement officers. That's a big deal. Seek enhanced sentences for crimes against law enforcement officers. Promote investment in the security and capacity of prisons. This is huge. I don't know if you know this, but people like Peter Thiel and others, mega billionaires, millionaires, a lot of them make their money in the private prison system, including like housing, transportation, migrant camps, all these things. And they're looking for Trump to make them millions more. Okay? The immigrant crisis is a cash grab. The mass deportation, the housing, the transport, all of that's a cash grab for his buddies in the private sector. They literally talked about how much money they were going to make if Trump won, because he was going to give them all these contracts, flying them, feeding them, housing them, driving around on buses, building new prisons. There's a big deal. There's a lot of money to be made here, and it's his friends that are making it. Promote investment in the security and capacity of prisons, and increase the investment in and collection, distribution, and uniformity of crime data across jurisdictions. That's your data, by the way. Within 60 days of the date of this order, the Attorney General shall review all ongoing federal consent decrees, out-of-court agreements, and post-judgment orders to which a state or local law enforcement agency is a party, and modify, rescind, or move to conclude such measures that unduly impede the performance of law enforcement functions. This is the one that I wanted to get to, though. Section 4. Listen to Section 4. Me and, it was either Bug Dude or Rob P. were just talking about the guy who started hold on just a second. You guys remember Blackwater? That was thrown out of Iraq for how aggressive they were, over the top, fucking beating people to death, pissing on them, way outside the bounds of what was allowed to do. Blackwater was so outside the bounds of what the U.S. military should be done, they were just shut down. That guy's name's Eric Prince. He wants to cut a deal to transport detainees from U.S. to El Salvador. Former Blackwater CEO Eric Prince had a team of defense contractors are pitching the White House on plan to vastly expand deportation to El Salvador, transporting thousands of immigrants from the U.S. holding facilities to a sprawling maximum security prison in Central America. These people don't care. They worship dollar bills, and they want to get as many as they fucking can. They don't care if you're guilty. They don't care if you're innocent. They don't care if you're a citizen. They don't care if you're due process. They don't care who the fuck you are unless you're one of their direct relatives. Okay? They want to make money off you. And if Trump is going to be rounding up...
Anonymous gifted bird _ 57 a subscription. An anonymous user gifted a tier 1 sub to bird _ 57.
Thank you for the gifted sub. And if Trump is going to be rounding up potentially millions of illegal immigrants, there's going to be billions of dollars to be made. You've seen the estimate of how much it would cost to round up all the illegal immigrants, right? A good chunk of that is going to these private contractors. And Peter Thiel and Palantir, his AI target acquisition company, is helping to locate these people. He wants to feed all the U.S. government data into his AI so it can identify and help locate anybody that needs to be arrested so he can make more money. Like it's really like Black Mirror shit, and people are just ignoring it. What could be another reason that someone who owns an AI company is given unprecedented access to all of our data at every agency? And not only that, they want to create something called a master file. Right now, specifically, your Social Security information is kept separately from your IRS information. That's kept separately from, like, potentially your VA information. It's kept separately from your government pensions information. They want to create master files. And what could you do with a master file is you could feed all of that. AI runs on information. They need information. They need to be fed information constantly. That's all the power consumption, is them literally taking all the information they can find on the fucking internet. But typically, your private information is more secure than a Google search, right? Your private information is more secure than just, we'll index this through Google and run 10,000 searches about fiddles or whatever. But when they make the master files and it has all of your information in one spot, right now they could still do it, right? They could go to Social Security and they could feed all that information in it. They could go to the IRS, they could feed all that information in it. They could go to government retirees, feed all that information in it. They go to Congress, whatever, feed all that information in it. Federal law enforcement agencies, feed all that information in it. But if they make a master file that includes everything from birth certificate and Social Security information, IRS, to if any government agencies ever looked into you. If you're like me and have 3 separate encounters where you had to talk to the FBI, all that information put together and then fed into an AI, they're going to build a model of you and they will be tracking you. We're almost to the point of future crimes bullshit. And the people, the right wing who claim they're like super scared of all this shit is cheering it the fuck on. I want to show you an audio. Hold on. Actually, I want you to listen to an audio file. Let me find it real quick. Because when I say these people are cheering it on, I want you to know, like, oh, thank you very much, Rob P. Thank you for the donation. 10 6-packs. I appreciate it. Liam is on his trip. Last time I talked to him, he was having a good time, and his first debit card was working for him. He said he bought him a hat and a sandwich today. So Liam's out of town on his own for the first. I mean, he's been like little trips, like family and stuff, but nothing like this. He's going to be out of town till Friday or Saturday. All right, I'm here. Let me find it quickly. I couldn't believe when I fucking heard this. I'll be honest with you. I could not believe when I fucking heard this person speaking, who is a right-wing influencer on TikTok. I swear I don't think they know the things they're saying sometimes. All right, here it is. Share. Copy link. I'll just send it to myself. I'll have it up in just a second. We're going back. I haven't quit reading the, we're going back to it as well, but. Oh, shit. That's not it, is it? Hold on. Sorry. I actually don't think that one's it. I think I picked the wrong one. Here it is. This one is it's somebody that was debating with Dean. Let me send this one. And listen to this audio. Refresh, stupid. Damn it. I might have to send it a different way. Hold on. No, I usually do it through the little phone thing, but it's not working right now. Like the phone app. It's not working. I'm going to have to restart it. I might have to force start it and then restart it. All right, here, listen to this audio.
So I definitely voted for Trump, and I just wanted to throw a key point, and it's not, it doesn't even have anything to do with the proving me wrong. Trump is terrible for America. But the point is, the people that voted for Trump is because we wanted everything to happen that's happening to happen. Like, we didn't vote for Trump and be like, oh, Trump's not going to break any laws. Like, everybody that voted, we knew that he wasn't going to follow the Constitution.
Yeah.
We didn't care.
What? Oh, what's up, studio dude? What? Was about Elon harvesting data for his grok? I'm sure it was. Like, he's been given access that he doesn't fucking need. Over and over and over again, right? Top level access for shit. Like, if he was really about saving money, he would sit down with the people that work this and ask them about it. Like, what is this? What's that? Well, you can pull this up. Can you tell me that? No, he needs that access, and then he's putting it on Starlink, unsecured Starlink, like Hegseth. Listen to this person again.
So I definitely voted for Trump, and I just wanted to throw a key point, and it's not, it doesn't even have anything to do with the prove me wrong. Trump is terrible for America. But the point is, the people that voted for Trump is because we wanted everything to happen that's happening to happen. Like, we didn't vote for Trump and be like, oh, Trump's not going to break any laws. Like, everybody that voted, we knew that he wasn't going to follow the Constitution.
Yeah.
We didn't care.
Yeah, I have a feeling
so
they're
that's
gonna
the
leave.
point. We wanted change so bad that we didn't give a crap what the cost was.
Yeah, I have a feeling that you're going to leave before I could rebuttal your view.
They wanted change so bad, they knew that he was going to break laws. They knew he was going to violate the Constitution. They knew. They don't care. They knew. They don't care. That's insane, is it not? I'm still trying to reboot my phone browser, so give me a second. They just don't care. Let's see. Phone link is what it's called, right? Intask. There we go. We'll play it again because I think this is huge.
Oh, I definitely.
And they're not even afraid of this. They're the people who claim to support the Constitution, claim to support this, claim to support that. They're the patriots. They stand up. They do this. They're the real ones. The liberals are crazy. But here we go.
Oh, I definitely voted for Trump, and I just wanted to throw a key point, and it's not, it doesn't even have anything to do with the prove me wrong, Trump is terrible for America. But the point is, the people that voted for Trump is because we wanted everything to happen that's happening to happen. Like, we didn't vote for Trump and be like, oh, Trump's not going to break any laws. Like, everybody that voted, we knew that he wasn't going to follow the Constitution.
Yeah.
We didn't care.
Yeah, I have a feeling
so
they're
that's
gonna
the
leave.
point. We wanted change so bad that we didn't give a crap what the cost was.
Yeah, I have a feeling that you're going to leave before I could rebuttal your view, right?
We can hear Dean's rebuttal, but
For a conversation?
Yeah, sure. I mean,
it doesn't really when they're willing to go that far, it doesn't matter. When they're willing to go that fucking far, it doesn't matter what the rebuttal is. They'll sacrifice anything for Trump.
Do that to yourself.
I know. I don't know.
Why? Like, no, seriously, why would you do that to yourself? Like, you're literally telling me that, oh, yeah, you want a constitutional crisis. You want something that stands in opposition to what American values have been since the conception of our country. You want a criminal. You want a violent offender. So then how about you stop fucking virtue signaling about caring about those things as it would apply to individuals outside of Trump? Because it is y'all that have been saying, screaming at the top of your lungs, back the blue, support law and order, but then you say that you want the criminal, you want the felon, you want the person that's going to pardon violent January 6 rioters that
2 Russian spies, I'm sure.
into the necks of cops on January 6th. I understand that you're on this live saying that those are things that you wanted, so then stop fucking acting like you don't want them as it would apply to migrants. Stop acting like you don't want them as it would apply to women. Stop acting like you don't want them as it would apply to literally any fucking demographic outside of really rich and really orange old white guys.
Oh, I definitely voted for Trump, and I just wanted to throw a key point, and it's not, it doesn't even have any.
That's insane, right? They don't care. As long as it's owning the libs. As long as they, in their mentality, they won. And they're still winning somehow. They're paying more for everything. They're losing more rights than they ever have. And they still won. They're still winning. They don't care about the Constitution they scream about. They don't care about the government. They don't care about the flag. They don't care about the troops. They don't care about anything. Back to the EO. Number 4. Using national security assets for law and order. Within 90 days of the date of this order, the Attorney General and the Secretary of Defense. Why the Secretary of Defense? In consultation with Secretary of Homeland Security and the heads of agencies as appropriate, shall increase the provision of excess military and national security assets in local jurisdictions to assist state and local law enforcement. Within 90 days of the date of this order, the Secretary of Defense, in coordination with the Attorney General, shall determine how military and national security assets, training, non-lethal capabilities, and personnel can most effectively be utilized to prevent crime. Now, I'm not going to lie. In the National Guard, we had a bunch of people. Well, I wouldn't say a bunch. We had a few people that worked with like federal agencies, right? They do their 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year, deployments when we had to. And then the rest of the time, I had a buddy that worked for like the DEA. I had another guy that worked for a different 3-letter agency. They worked, but they're National Guard, right? This is active duty military. Their training, their capabilities, their equipment, and their people being rolled out with local law enforcement. I wasn't able to verify. I saw that when I pulled it up. I don't know if it's true or not, but I saw Snopes saying that there was no evidence. Again, do we want U.S. military suddenly policing the streets? This is what everybody's afraid of with declaring the Insurrection Act, right? This is trying to bypass the Insurrection Act. This is doing it without saying I'm doing it. This is putting active duty military in local police departments. And what they're going to say is, oh, we mean like people that can train or like intel guys that like, you know, or people that do like wiretaps. It doesn't matter. Once they open the door's open because it doesn't restrict. This doesn't just say like our lead investigator and drug recon or some shit, right? It just says personnel. This is like me saying we're going to give law enforcement old military equipment and just saying equipment. And I'm saying, oh, I just mean like, you know, the old fiberglass Humvees. But I could also roll them Abrams fucking tanks because I just said equipment. When they say personnel, that means personnel. There's no limiting factor here. This should be scary to everyone. But I'm not a criminal. Doesn't fucking matter. I'm not illegal. Doesn't matter. I voted for Trump. Doesn't matter. We very specifically have rules against active duty military working as a police force inside the United States. They're not allowed to under unless certain circumstances like Insurrection Act, right? And then the scope is limited and the time is supposed to be limited. This is bad. And he's trying to do it all through executive orders. But Joe Biden used an auto pen. Okay, who cares? That's exactly right. There's an old saying that I can't remember it exactly, but it's something like you don't march Rome's army. You don't march the Roman army into Rome for a visit or something like that, right? The Roman army never went to Rome unless it was to fucking overthrow the government, overthrow the people, something, right? Something bad was happening. They didn't need their army at home. They need their army abroad. We don't need our army at home. Unless we've been invaded by a foreign nation, we do not need active duty military here. This is insane, honestly. Let me show you something about Hegseth while we're on the topic. Everybody should be scared of this. People should be sharing this. This is the strengthening and unleashing America's law enforcement to pursue criminals and protect innocent citizens, EO. It's got to be numbered, right? Hold on. Just the fact that it says unleashing in the title sounds very aggressive, right? Is it come from the Federal Register? Is that why I need to look for the AO number? Unleashing America. No, that's offshore drilling. This was from, I don't think it's in the Federal Register yet. It's from April 28th. The most recent one in the Federal Register is from the 24th. So it's not in the Federal Register, so it doesn't have a number yet. It doesn't seem. It's going to be above 14,285. By the way, you guys remember when the right lost their fucking mind about, I can't believe Obama is signing all these executive orders. That's not how it's supposed to be. What? What? So, what? It hasn't been done through the Federal Register yet, but I'll keep an eye on it, and I'll get you. We should memorize this EO number, okay? We should memorize this EO number because this title's too long to remember the whole thing. When you tell somebody to look it up, they're going to fuck it up. We should memorize this EO number, and when anybody says, well, Trump would never blah, blah, you can tell them, just like fucking Derek Johnson's douchebag ass does, right? It's EO 14,289 or some shit, right? So I will keep looking for it, and we will end up with this. Yeah, executive order number when it's out. At least one day, sometimes several days, a delay between the president signs a document when it's published here. Once received, we give them priority processing. Will appear on public inspection the business day before publication. If you're looking to recently sign president, you may wish to check the White House, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we'll just have to wait for it to have a number, okay? Trump has signed more EOs than Biden did his whole term. I heard that too. All right, let me show you something on Hegseth. This was funny. Let's go to my profile. That'd be the easiest way to find it. So Hegseth goes on this big fucking rant the other day and says, this morning, I proudly ended the Women, Peace, and Security, WPS, program inside the Department of Defense. WPS is yet another woke, divisive, social justice Biden initiative that overburdens our commanders and troops, distracting from our core task, warfighting. WPS is a United Nations program pushed by feminists and left-wing activists. Politicians fawn over it. Troops hate it. DOD will hereby executive the minimum of WPS required by statute and fight to end the program for our next budget. Good riddance, WPS. The problem is, this was passed under the Trump administration in 2017. Not only that, it was co-authored by Kristi Noem and Marco Rubio. And Trump talked about how amazing it was. Trump talked about how amazing it was, how good it was going to be for women because he'll protect the women. Trump talked about it. He just gives it down the road, and it's Trump's bullshit. It was Trump's shit. Not to say it's bad because it was Trump's, but you can't blame everything on Biden. Especially things that Trump did. Holy shit. These idiots. So then, people call him out and is like, actually, this is a Trump policy, and Trump spoke very highly of it. And he's like, well, the woke and weak Biden administration distorted and weaponized the straightforward and security-focused WPS initiative launched in 2017. So, yes, we are ending the woke, divisive social justice Biden WPS initiative. Biden ruined everything, including women, peace, and security. But if you ask, this has remained unchanged. It's a piece of congressional legislation that Trump went for. Like, if it was changed, we would know. They'd have to pass the law. They'd have to edit it. They'd have to do something different to it. This was a big piece of like Ivanka Trump shit, right? She pushed for this. Marco Rubio, Christy No.
The United States was the first nation to enact comprehensive legislation to empower women in peace and security affairs worldwide. This week, the Department of State has taken the next step to demonstrate our leadership with the release of our Women, Peace, and Security Implementation Plan. When women are given the opportunity to meaningfully contribute to their communities and nations, we see increases in security, stability, and economic prosperity. I have seen firsthand the power of women in negotiations and in decision-making positions during my time here.
Some 4 years ago.
And in the U.S. Navy Reserve. This plan fundamentally changed
under Trump
the way the U.S. implements foreign policy and national security efforts around the world by advancing women as agents of change to generate solutions to global challenges. As President Trump has said, nations that empower women are wealthier, safer, and more politically stable. To learn more about the State Department's efforts to promote WPS, please visit state.gov.
President Trump also signed the Women, Peace, and Security Act, a bill that I was very proud to have been a co-sponsor of when I was in the Senate. And it was the first
co-sponsor of
law passed.
Again, Biden couldn't have changed it unless it went back to Senate.
In the world. You know, at the State Department and under President Trump, we try to take every opportunity to defend and to promote women and girls across the world during his first term.
Well, they did.
President Trump
at
made
once.
Women's economic opportunity an imperative. He established a Women's Global Development and Prosperity Initiative, which...
By the way, this is Rubio talking about how good it was just 3 weeks ago. They canceled it yesterday.
To date has reached over 12 million women worldwide. At home, during his first term, female unemployment reached the lowest level.
It's the only thing they've got to talk about at the International Women of Courage Symposium or whatever. They don't have anything, right? Trump says he's going to protect women, whether they like it or not. The only thing they have to talk about is this. He was the keynote speaker to talk at the International Women of Courage event, and he brought up the WPS 3 weeks ago. Then Hegseth announces that he's axing it.
President Trump made women's economic opportunity an imperative. He established the Women's Global Development and Prosperity Initiative, which to date has reached over 12 million women worldwide. At home, during his first term, female unemployment reached the lowest level in 50 years. President Trump also signed the Women, Peace, and Security Act, a bill that I was very proud to have been a co-sponsor of when I was in the Senate. And it was the first comprehensive law passed in any country in the world, first law passed by any country anywhere in the world, focused on protecting women and promoting their participation in society. President Trump...
So you know how they all talk, they all get along, they all communicate. So apparently not, okay? Marco Rubio shows up to tout this at the International Women of Courage event as a key piece of legislation that says, hey, Trump passed this in his first term, and it's all about women. 3 weeks later, Hegseth is like, this piece of shit, everybody hates it. We're getting rid of it.
Is also working now to fulfill his promise to end a brutal war that's going on in Europe as well as in the Middle East. Wars that aren't just costing the lives of soldiers and civilians, but where women in these wars, in these conflicts, as you will hear somewhat today, are kidnapped and they're assaulted, they're displaced, they're killed, their families are in danger. And one of our honorees today knows that too well, because on 7th October of 2023, Amit Susana was abducted from her home by Hamas. And upon her release, she shared details of the sexual violence she endured as a hostage, which allowed medical professionals to document the atrocities that she suffered. And this was at a time when people...
Is Ivanka just not as prevalent in this second administration?
were denying that these
I don't know if you guys remember, but she used to do like press briefings and shit.
Atrocities were being committed, and even blaming Israel for Hamas's brutality. Her bravery, her advocacy brings much needed attention to the scourge of sexual violence and conflicts all over the world. Even as I speak to you now, there is sexual violence going on somewhere in the world in these various conflicts. It is a scourge. There is so much more to be said about the accomplishments and the courage and the leadership of each of these great women. And let me reaffirm the importance of protecting women and girls and promoting their well-being are American goals. But they also happen to be a strong goal of our president, President Donald Trump. So to our honorees, congratulations and thank you for your work to create a safer and more secure and just world. In a moment, it'll be my distinct honor to welcome the First Lady of the United States to speak to you. She too is a woman of tremendous courage and of great accomplishment. She's an inspirational leader. Through her Be Best initiative and her work now advocating the Take It Down Act, she's protected women and girls online and promoted their health and well-being. So, Madam First Lady, thank you so much for being with us today. I look forward to continuing to work with you to promote the well-being and prosperity of Americans.
I don't know why this motherfucker won't connect. It's still not wanting. My phone's still not fucking wanting to connect. I don't know. It's just wild that they don't have any idea what each other's doing all the fucking time. All the time. I don't know. It does seem like she's done with it, right, Ivanka? She doesn't have anything to do with it now. All right, here we go. Let's go to... This fucking piece of shit will not load, dude. What is this? This one's something else. I've got a 4-part. Okay.
57.
We already did that one. That's the Christian nationalist. All right, I have another. Let's do this, I guess. So you remember the argument we were talking about last night between Z and they're saying she's racist and this, that, the other, whatever, right? You remember all that? This is how the right is optimizing this. Okay, there's a 4-part little set of videos. This guy is a pretty big creator on the right, 100,000 followers. I see him all the time. He suggested to me. So this is how they are optimizing this Unfuck America tour drama.
The liberals and the Unf America tour starring Dean Withers and Parker are unraveling before our eyes, and it's hilarious. I'm actually going to make this a 4-part series, releasing all 4 videos today. This is part 1. Check this out.
Things good, we can move on. Are you joking, Peyton? Yo, dude, are you serious? Wait, so I want to get this clear. You're literally saying...
That was Dean arguing with Peyton, who was originally part of the Unf America tour. But things went awry between the whole group, and here's why. So this is Z, Z-E-E. Her TikTok on here is Z Runs Campaigns. Z led the charge for everything, all the marketing, all the transportation for the creators to get there, the choosing of the creators. I don't know about the hotel stays, the lanyards they were wearing, the security, just everything. Just a really difficult job, to be honest with you, especially with that many creators. Right now, the website shows 38 creators in total, so that's a lot of work for her. Well, before the Texas A&M Charlie Kirk event, Z happened...
They're literally just handing the right wing, the opposition, these wins.
to run into a live where a bunch of black creators were talking about her and her campaign. Basically playing the victim, wondering why Dean and Parker, two white boys, are the face of the tour, why they're speaking on behalf of marginalized people, and they want to know if the black creators are going to get some extra security since it's dangerous over there at Texas A&M, even though nothing happened because you guys shout racism from the mountaintop when it doesn't actually exist. You guys went to one of the most conservative universities in all of America and nothing happened because we're not what you say we are. So Z runs into this ambush against her from professional victims and she gets a little taste of the Republican Party medicine where we can't even talk or we have to walk on eggshells about everything we say and everything we do. Even though she's trying to set up this campaign and just do a good thing in her mind, you guys are still critical of her. Why? Because she's white. And here's the beginning of that live where she came in just to defend herself and the campaign that she's running.
It's sad that, like, what these black people, I think Hannah was trying to say, I'm not sure, but what they're trying to do isn't at the forefront of this. It's apparently to get registered voters out. Before you go, it's great. It's great to see that the left is finally coming together. Hey, I wasn't done.
And after the fact, Z has basically been sold out. They've been calling her racist. They've been saying that she was making racist microaggressions. She's no longer the campaign manager. She had to step down. And there were zero racist microaggressions. Nothing racist said from Z. It's just a left being left. Again, professional victims. I'm going to show you more of that conversation between Z and those black creators in the next video. Please give me a follow. We got 3 more videos after this to just show you the unraveling of the Enough America tour. It's a mess, a cluster, but what else is there to expect from a party that has a 21% approval rating? Give me a follow if you want to follow along. I'll see you on the next one. Bow. The liberals and
that's the first one.
The liberals and the Enough America tour starring Dean Withers and Parker are absolutely in shambles. Here's part 2 of 4. We left off with part 1 with Z, the campaign manager who is being accused of racism. And she has since had to remove herself from the position. She is no longer involved in the tour. But she wasn't racist at all. In fact, she's on a panel with 7 other black people who are criticizing her work as a tour organizer, and they're the ones who are racist in the conversation. I'll let you see it for yourself. And we'll break it down one clip at a time. Let's check it out. In this following 9-second clip, you'll hear somebody say, if this is another YT, I'm going to be fuming. So if another white person comes on, even though it's the campaign manager, she's going to be fuming. She don't want to hear a white person's opinion.
I'm done speaking.
That's pretty bad, right? If this is another white person, I'm going to be fuming.
I want to make sure, I want to hear from them. This is their campaign. This is their thing. I would love to hear from you, but I was in the middle of...
Next, the host of this line creates imaginary problems for the black...
Oh, shit. My bad. Sorry, I'm trying to reconnect my phone over here.
Creators who are going to the Enough America tour as though they're any different than the white creators, and at the very end, somebody has an issue with the white creators, Parker and Dean, being the headline of the tour itself, even though they have the biggest following, the most influence. Let's hear it.
It's also about how marginalized people are going to possibly experience, like what they're going to experience after the tour, or what's actually going to be happening during the tour. You guys are actually listening to us, and that is the issue. You guys are actively making this.
That's what it's really about. Let's be honest. You guys are mad that they didn't put a black individual as the headliner, even though, again, Parker and Dean have the biggest influence, and so it makes sense to put them as the headliners. Has nothing to do with race at all. Next, the host of the live says you guys are putting words in our mouth, which also includes Z. Z just says, I wasn't putting words in your mouth. That's all she said. And a black individual on this live tells Z to shut up. And I just want to say, imagine if Z had come in there and told any of the 7 black creators on that live to shut up.
Like words in our mouth when we've been very clear and particular about words in our mouth. But when you say, I wasn't talking to you.
So far, you guys are probably seeing the same thing I'm seeing, which is there's a hell of a lot of racism from the black creators on here piling up on Z, and all she's doing is defending herself and getting told to shut up when she speaks. Like, she can't even speak. The next part of this conversation is basically them telling the white person Z that she's not allowed to defend herself, that her tour and the marketing of it and the premise of it is racist, and she's not allowed to tell them otherwise. And then whenever she starts to talk and try to, again, explain things and defend herself, they say, such and such earlier was quiet while we were talking. I don't understand why you can't do the same. She hasn't even gotten to talk yet, mind you.
Or when we say, these 2 white boys at the front, people's cognitive dissonance goes, I don't know what you're saying. You should have think. Exactly. They genuinely think that, like, why are you talking? We're not talking to you. Okay. This entire time. I don't understand what you think it's saying.
You didn't know, Z? You're not allowed to have a voice. You're white. You can't have an opinion. You can't defend your...
All right, I sent him a different way.
About it. Next, we hear from the only white man of the panel, and he absolutely caters to the black people, walks on eggshells. And when he says, Z, go ahead and talk, the host she can't help but to show her pride. She's just like, no. She'll talk when I tell her to talk. She'll talk when I allow her to talk. Again, racist. Blatantly racist. Hey, Allie, why didn't you say that about any of your other 6 black people who were on the panel who were talking the entire time and talking over Z? I didn't hear you tell them that they could only talk when you allow them to talk. How come you said that to Z? Why? Because you're racist.
I do not like it because I would rather let it marinate, and I would like to say something to speak on things as well, but I also know the space I'm in. I am a white man, so let me know when it's good to clear. I'm going to put it on mute, and please, Z, if you want to say something to address this, because I think it's important. Or me? Okay, I'm going to
when I let her speak.
Again, imagine Z, a white woman, telling Allie she can speak when I let her speak. It would be a big problem, would it not? The double standards of black liberals is just absolutely absurd.
They're just clip farming the fuck out of this, dude, and making the whole movement look bad, which brings Dean and Parker and all the other people, it brings them fucking down, right? All the other people that went on this.
4 clips left,
including some black creators.
With part 2 of 4 of this series. At this point, you've seen the entire portion of the conversation. Z has not even had a chance to actually talk or defend herself. She just keeps being cut off. And I have to ask you, have you guys seen Z do anything racist at this point? Because I haven't. Still, somehow, some way, the host, Allie, views what Z's doing as just defending herself as being antagonistic. And all Z says in this clip is, I think you guys are the ones being antagonistic. Like, this whole life has been antagonistic, and I feel attacked. And they just can't handle that. Check it out.
Second of all, the reason why you got any energy from any of us, particularly me, because I was the one that first to mute you, was because you completely cut off what I was trying to say. to be antagonistic specifically towards like what we're trying to talk about in here. Well, I do think that this live is antagonistic. But anyway, I'm just going to say my piece. So, okay, wait, hold up. So you don't want to have a conversation about this? No, see, like I would.
How's she supposed to have a conversation? You won't let her talk. And finally, this last clip is a little bit longer. It's about a minute long, but it leads into part 3 of the series where things really start to get heated in this whole conversation and this live.
But I'm talking about, is she here to have a conversation or she's just going to spew and... Oh, the second question. That is a good point. See, I know you said that you wanted to leave soon. Are you here to actually have a conversation and explain or expand a little bit more on this? We can have a short conversation. I just can't stay up here long because I have to get but, yeah, but no, I mean, I appreciate, pushback in any respect. Obviously I'm an organizer. I'm used to that. But the point I wanted to bring up to start with is that I think that having conversations where we say things like, this is so unorganized, which came out of multiple people's mouths, things like that, are directly harming the people of color that are behind this tour, that are working tirelessly to make this happen. And I'm just telling you guys that because I know that you don't know, okay? But the majority of the people behind this tour that are staying up late working on this, because this is not easy. You think that getting 50 plus people to another state to do this is easy? Because it's not, right? And so we have young people that are putting everything into this, that are scared of this administration, and then people are saying that they're unorganized.
So as somebody who's done organizing within her own community, that's why I'm saying this.
So you're saying she has to be able to respond to one thing at a time.
So these black creators finally give her a chance to talk. Some of the people are laughing while she's talking, basically discrediting her points. And then at the very end there, you can hear them just getting irate and loud, typical liberal fashion. We have more for you, 2 more videos to show you the rest of this conversation and to wrap it all up. Give me a follow if you want to follow along. The end of the Unf America tour is inevitable. We'll see you in the next one. Bow. The liberal POV, you're watching part 3 of 4 of this series.
Part 3.
The Unf America tour.
I hate they got all these clips out of this, dude.
Has been
fucking hate it.
The liberals themselves, starring Dean Withers and Parker. We last laugh off with part 2 with the first half of the conversation between Z and 7 other black creators in a panel on a TikTok live. And all of this drama has started because everybody and their mother is now saying that Z was racist in that panel. However, we showed that entire first half conversation and Z has not even really gotten to talk yet, let alone been racist at all. The only ones being racist in the panel were the 7 black individuals that were on that TikTok live. They were 100% piling up on Z, who was the campaign manager for the Unf America tour before she stepped down from that position, and now all of a sudden Parker and Dean and everybody and their mother is like, yeah, Z bad, everybody else good. Because the fact of the matter is, it was easier for Dean and Parker to save face in front of their millions of followers and just leave this woman high and dry, call her racist, call her things that she was not, than to be real with themselves and actually review the tape and look at it and say, you know what, Z was not being racist, there were no microaggressions. If anything, the microaggressions were on the part of the 7 black creators and not Z. Without further ado, here is Z in the second half of that panel discussion. In this first clip, someone on the panel tries to scare away Z by saying, I want to remind you, room of black women here, suggesting, in my opinion, that she's supposed to walk on eggshells because of that. And then assumes incorrectly that Z is operating the tour in bad faith, and Z just defends herself once again and says, why are you assuming that I'm operating in bad faith? Roll it.
It is really hard to make out when they're stepping on each other so constantly.
She has to be able to respond to one thing at a time. No, she has to be able to respond.
It's even worse because I got to sped up, but
Are you serious?
we'll skip ahead in this one.
I want to remind you, room of black. I think a lot of the issues that a lot of
the largest followings, they have the largest influence, they average like 8 to 10,000 people in their lives all at one time. They've earned the right to headline this event, but it doesn't shock me that a party that believes in DEI and believes in just giving chances just to give chances and not to give it to the most qualified people believes the way you believe. All right, one more clip. It's the longest clip, but it is such a good watch, you're going to want to see it. At this point, between part 2 and part 3 of this series, you've seen this entire conversation take place. All I've removed is just small chatter here and there that wasn't pertinent to this conversation. If you do want to see the entire conversation, you can go to YT. It's Talks with Ali. Ali is spelled A-L-I, and it's not the most recent video, it's the video before that, and somebody commented the timestamps when each thing took place. You can go to the point where it says Z joins the chat. But here's the final part where that panel member has an absolute meltdown for no reason at all, and that's the racist rhetoric of Z, supposedly. And for context, the reason why she gets upset is because Z is trying to explain to her how difficult it was to plan this thing, all these people from different states having to plan transportation, safety, and all that stuff, and this woman has been out of shape because she...
You hear me 3 times, then you need to refresh or something.
She's done local events and has helped out with her local community before, and she's trying to compare apples to oranges. And she feels some types of way because Z's not taking that seriously because she's like, no, you don't understand how difficult it is to do what I do. And she's absolutely right. Lady, you did local... Because she's like, no, you don't understand how difficult
Mic check.
to do what I do. And she's absolutely right. Lady, you did local... Because she's like, no, you don't understand how difficult
Mic check.
to do what I do. And she's absolutely right. Lady, you did local community events. That is nothing compared to what Z had to organize here. So she's not being disrespectful to you because you're black. She's explaining to you that you're demeaning her work and trying to compare it to the local, easier to manage, easier to organize events that you've done in the past. That's not racist. Here's that conversation.
State is not an easy job. Nobody said it was. Nobody said it was.
Wait. Was that me saying that? Nobody said it was.
I specifically agreed. That's not what I mean. And that's not what I said. Please finish. So I specifically... You started off by saying...
God, that's so crazy. It's so hard to understand what anybody's saying.
To organize 50 people.
What you're doing, I'm telling you right now it's incredibly disorganized. Maybe it's a short time period, and that's the reason why. But you're shit at your job. What I am saying, right, is on top of that, you know what, even forget everything else, because Elena brought up an excellent point. You want to come up here and you want to wank yourself off to the work that black people, marginalized people are doing, but then at the same time, you won't even put them at the front line of your bullshit-ass website. Shut the fuck up. You useless ass.
Damn.
Assless, loser-ass bitch. Don't ever come here and talk to black people like that again. Crush a useless human.
Exactly. This wasn't racist. This black liberal got absolutely all in her feelings, but that's the left, baby. Just absolutely escalating situations, making mountains out of molehills. That was part 3. Z was clearly not racist at any point during that conversation. You can watch part 2 and part 3. That's pretty much the entire conversation, and we'll wrap it up with part 4, which is just Dean catering.
All right, so Dean apologizes.
Demolition of the UNF America tour.
That's the last part.
As seen in previous videos, the biggest reason why the Liberal Party is absolutely divided is because they say now that this person, Z, the campaign manager of the UNF America tour, was racist on a panel full of black individuals. But I showed in parts 2 and 3 the conversation between Z and these individuals, and she was not racist. Regardless, though, Dean Withers is absolutely full of it. Let's look into things. On April 19th, Peyton, a liberal creator with 700,000 followers, posted this video. Remember that date, April 19th, and remember his following, 700,000 followers. This video has like 1 million views. And the Texas A&M event was on April 22nd, which means that Dean and all other liberal creators knew about this instance. Here's Peyton's video talking about Z, the campaign manager of the UNF America tour, in that panel with those black individuals.
She hopped on a live last night where a bunch of black women creators on this app, who are obviously in the political space, were a little upset, voicing their concerns, talking about how they felt about the Unfuck America tour. And the lead organizer didn't like that very much, and so she hopped on there to spew, anti-black rhetoric, especially towards black women, making them sound like bullies and aggressive, and it was really gross. It was really gross. There's no way you watch this and don't think she's racist, by the way. Like, I went into it going like, what happened?
I mean, there's definitely a way you can watch it and think it's not racist because, well, it wasn't racist. But regardless, Dean and all the large liberal creators...
Here's the question I would ask. Is there any way, let's say I'm obviously white. You can see me, I'm white. Let's say I was talking to one of these black creators. Is there any way that I can have an argument with them and potentially even be mean and rude to them? Like, say something that obviously I probably shouldn't have said, right? Like, went too far without it being racist? Or is it inherently racist because she called somebody a bully, or she said, as soon as I came in here, you guys are going crazy on me? Or saying, the other thing she said was like, we're not going to have a conversation. I'm just going to say this because clearly you guys don't want to have a conversation. To those types of people that think that way, could I ever even be mean? Like, fuck you, dude. Like, get the fuck out of here. Is that automatically racist?
With the UNF America tour were made aware of this instance. And that was 3 days in advance, and as you know, they still went to the tour on April 22nd at Texas A&M. Now, because Peyton's video has gained a ton of steam and a lot of people have seen that video, all the liberals are asking the larger liberal creators, why did y'all still go on this tour if you knew your campaign manager was racist? Again, she wasn't, but by their logic, whatever. And all of a sudden, all these large liberal creators are turning on Z, leaving her high and dry. Check it out.
Z joined a panel full of black women and said a lot of
It's everybody calling her out, of course.
The black community has been impacted by Z's words, and she has yet to acknowledge it or apologize.
I like a lot of the content creators on this tour, and I don't want to see them suffer because of Z's racist action.
Do you see Z act a fool, be hella fucking racist, antagonistic, condescending?
I don't want to hear anything from right-wing creators, anybody from MAGA saying anything like, oh, this is a tactic of the left, this is just like the left, yada, yada, yada.
Well, luckily for me and unfortunately for you, this is my channel, and so you are going to hear me say that because that is exactly what you guys do. You make mountains out of molehills. But among the people piling up on Z and absolutely trying to ruin her life, even though she did not do anything racist, is none other than Dean Withers.
Right, like, what is the response? So, but are you specifically asking why I didn't tell anybody else, like, speak about it on live?
Yes.
I think, like, the reason why I didn't speak about it on live at the time was because I was scared. And once again, that was another example of me going with the status quo, and essentially, like, the impact of my action, regardless of, like, my intent or all else. Just get a phone call. Regardless of all else, was wrong.
Does anybody buy that? Does anybody buy that? Like, you're never scared, Dean. You love being in front of a mic. And you always talk so fast and so fluently, and then all of a sudden you were getting a call and you had to stop. You know why you were stopping? Because you were actually thinking about, how can I make this seem like I actually and genuinely care when I don't? And later, Peyton, the person who made the video that went viral to begin with, pressed you on that.
Microaggressions being perpetuated against them are, like, justified, valid, or therefore okay.
And again, why not speak out about it?
So, I mean,
Why allow people?
Correct. Why not speak out about it, Dean? Your reason was because you were scared. But again, Peyton's video was released on April 19th, and all the conservative creators, we see all of each other's videos, so I know you guys see each other's videos as well. You guys were made aware of this 3 days in advance of the event, and Peyton even dropped out of the event because of this. And you still chose to go. You know why? Because you knew it wasn't actually racist. What actually happened wasn't racist on that live stream. If what she did was actually racist, you wouldn't have put it aside, gone to the Charlie Kirk event, and then addressed it. The truth is, you've taken a lot of heat from this, from your crybaby liberal party, and now you're folding like a lawn chair. You don't actually...
They got all the clips they could ever want from this. So now anytime these people come up or try this again or follow each other, they got it. And now, the reason I brought this back up again, even though we talked about it last night, you know the older millennial who we all fucking hate? Now the older millennial is going to be on Charlie Kirk tomorrow talking about this.
Care about the racism that went on because there was no actual racism that went on. We watched the videos. You just care about your 3 million followers and you don't want to be canceled. So you were hoping that this whole ordeal would just be swept under the rug, and it wasn't. And I just can't believe that you guys are throwing Z under the bus and painting her out to be someone she's absolutely not, just because she went in on that live and defended the campaign that she was running, and all the criticism and questions that she didn't even ask for were coming her way. She did nothing wrong in that live, and you know it. But just like with Harry Sisson, you'll just throw somebody else under the bus and keep it moving. All to CYA. And finally, even though I don't think Z was racist on that panel, even the host of that panel does not accept your apology.
Be very honest with myself, right? I'm going to be very open and apparent with you guys really quickly. I am not accepting any of those apologies. Not only because nobody reached out directly to us to give us a formal apology about how we were treated on that live, but a lot of these content creators were actually actively in my live, either on the panel or at least watching it from the comments.
Yep, she's right. You only apologize, and all of y'all only apologize when the heat started coming your way. Can any of y'all just stand on business and say, what Z did was not racist, that's why I didn't do anything about it to begin with 3 days in advance of the event, and that's why I still went to the event, and that's why I stood on business at the event. No, you got to sit there catering to the woke mob, and all of a sudden, I'm so sorry that it took me this long. I was scared. Liberals, man. Soft as Charmin. Give me a follow. That is the end of the series. I'll see y'all in the next one. Bow. Welcome to part 4 of 4.
So that was his 4-part series, and he's still making videos on it.
Liberals are so damn racist.
Still making videos on it.
Live in liberal la la land. Y'all literally allow black people to talk to a white person however they want, but a white person can't even have an opinion against a black person. Let's play a quick game of Is It Racist so that maybe you guys could understand this concept and not be the party with a 21% approval rating. I don't know why I'm helping y'all out, but I'm gonna do it just for the good of humanity. Number 1, is it racist to say this better not be another white person joining the panel? I'm sick of hearing from them. Even though said YT person is the event coordinator of the event that you're shitting on. Roll it. Number 2, is it racist for one race to tell another race that they can speak when you let them speak? Seems like common sense to me that that's racist, but not to the liberal party. Roll it.
And please, Z, if you want to say something to address this, because I think it's important. Or me? Okay, I'm going to
Number 3, is it racist to question why someone's talking and to say, I don't understand why you just can't be quiet?
Why are you talking? We're not talking to you. Okay, you've been quiet this entire time. I don't understand why you can't do the same.
No.
America's on its way to a recession in the stock market.
Anyways, I'm done watching that. They got every clip they're gonna fucking need, right? Every clip they're gonna fucking need for a while.
Wait a minute. He wasn't a member of a gang, and then they looked, and on his knuckles he had MS-13.
There's a dispute.
Wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattooed.
Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
Trump doesn't remember when we were curious if Trump knows they were photoshopped or not. The MS-13 tattoos. He doesn't. What do you mean interpreted?
Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
He did not have the letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
That was photoshopped. So let me
That was photoshopped. Terry, you can't do that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a life.
He really thinks this is a real photo. And he thinks that the man has MS-13 tattooed on it. Even though, look at these tattoos. See how much different they look than the photoshopped letters and numbers? He held this up. That's him. That's his yellow tie. That's his hand. He held this up in front of the Resolute desk and said, oh, I thought the guy wasn't a gang member. And I know the boomers believe this because Mariah's grandparents believe this. Let me read you something funny. Mariah's grandparents shared this dumbest fucking meme post. Mariah's grandparents in existence. Oh shit, hold on. And they believe it so much. Thank you. Let me read this post. Thank you, Ginger. I have a prayer request from a friend at the what hospital? What hospital are they at? The Care Center. Prayers needed. Urgent prayer request. Now, this is just one of those that they just have to like share or whatever. They just have to share it because share once if you love Jesus. Don't share if you love Satan, kind of deal. Urgent prayer requests. Kayla Scott's 22-month-old son accidentally shot himself in the chest with a construction nail gun. It went off in his heart. He is now in critical condition and not doing well. Neither is his mom. Please start a prayer chain for this baby. Please copy and repost as you would want someone to do it for you. Thank you, guys. I want to see this as your status for at least half an hour, please. A good friend just posted asking all prayer warriors to start their own chain and copy and paste. I don't ask often, but this is a baby. Praying hearts emoji. Sending up prayers for this mom and baby. Posting for a friend. Different versions of this exact story. Different ages, different parents' names, dad, mom, different areas, different friends share, different whatever, have literally been on the internet. The kid shooting himself in the heart with a nail gun have been on the internet since 2010. They're damn near old enough to fucking drive. This share trap for boomers is almost old enough to drive a fucking car. Repost if you love the troops.
Lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. But I picked you, Terry, but you're not being very nice. He had MS-13 tattooed.
We'll agree to disagree. I want to move on to something else.
Terry, do you want me to show you the picture?
I saw the picture.
You want me to show you the picture? You want me to show you the picture? Terry, back up, Terry. I'll show you the picture over here.
Want me to show you the picture?
I saw the picture. We'll
and you think it was Photoshop? Well,
here we go.
Don't Photoshop it. Go look at his hand. He had MS-13.
He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine, sir. I want to get to Ukraine.
No, Terry. Back up, Terry. We're not done here. I can't let you lie, Terry. If there's one thing people know about me, is I'm a real stickler for the truth. I can't let you lie here, Terry. He had the letter M on his index finger, the letter S on his middle finger, 1 on his ring finger, and 3 on his pinky. I showed the photo here on the... Trump's a fucking retard, dude. Trump is a fucking retard. And I would say that about anybody that shares this photo and thinks that the actual MS-13 is actually on his knuckles. I wonder if he thinks underneath it, it actually says marijuana, smiley, cross and skull, because that's on there too. I wonder if he thinks, how'd they tattoo that so tiny? Look at it. Marijuana, smiley, cross, skull. That must be a tiny little tattoo gun. You better be glad I wasn't the interviewer. We just spent a whole goddamn hour and a half talking about this right here. You stupid motherfucker. This came from Twitter. Terry, put it in reverse, Terry.
No. He had MS as clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why people no longer believe the news, because it's
you know what this is like? Listen to this sigh.
Not interpreted. This is why people no longer believe the news, because the news 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 because
that sigh is, oh my God, the president has dementia. Right? It's like a loved one. Like, yeah, I understand you think you're a 7-year-old girl and your dad's coming to pick you up from school, but we're at the nursing home. We're at the nursing home. Gam.
The news, because
when he was photographed in El Salvador, they aren't there. But let's just go. They aren't there when he's in El Salvador.
They weren't there, but they're there now, right?
No,
but they're there.
When he was photographed in El Salvador, they weren't there, but they're there now, right? Right, the M, the S, the one, they were there now, right? Sure, right?
When he's in El Salvador.
They weren't there, but they're there now, right?
No,
but
they're in your picture.
Terry.
Ukraine, sir.
He's got MS-13 on his knuckles.
All right.
Okay?
Well, we'll take a look.
You do such a disservice.
We'll take a look at that,
Why don't you just say, yes, he does, and, go on to something else?
Because he doesn't! Why don't you just admit the truth, Terry? You lying fucking piece of shit, Terry. This is why nobody knows your name, you son of a bitch. Why don't you just say he does?
You do such a disservice.
We'll take a look at that,
Why don't you just say, yes, he does, and, go on to something else?
It's contested.
It's contested. Trump really thinks he has MS-13 tattooed on. Oh, now phone link wants to work. You fucking piece of shit, dude. I just went through and sent every fucking link while y'all were watching that 4-part series thing. I went through and sent every fucking link. Anyways, Trump really thinks I hope that was the full extent of it and there's not more. If there's more and I missed it, I'll be pissed. Anyways, that's what we got so far. Let's go over here. Trump waves alleged altered photo of Rodrigo Garcia's hand. I'm looking to see if anybody else has done this. He has got MS-13 tattooed on his knuckle. Trump appears to hold up an image of Rodrigo Garcia's hand. That's got to be a recent interview, right? That's so funny. Clumsy Photoshop or hidden message? Clumsy Photoshop. I'll go with it. Trump accused of altering tattoo image to claim MS-13 link. Wow, dude. Wow, bro. It's not even a good Photoshop. Now, here's going to be the scenario. If that motherfucker ever sets foot on U.S. soil again, they're going to have to hold him down and tattoo MS-13 on his fucking knuckles. Because Trump cannot be wrong. Sounds like sabotage. It's probably you. Mariah, I shot a raccoon today, guys. And I'm actually pretty proud of it. It was probably 30 yards, elevated, in a tree, and just starting to move. Boom. Done. Over. It climbed up about 5 more feet and then fell. Mariah is trying to coerce a full-grown adult raccoon out of a tree because she wants it as a pet. Now, mind you, it's out in full broad daylight. It's not scared of us at all. And it's running up and down the tree like fucking crazy. Yeah, it was fucking rabid. Yeah, of course it was. I mean, raccoons are out in broad daylight and won't even run away when you walk towards them. Of course it was fucking rabid. And Mariah's like, I think we can keep... I'm trying to get her out of the way because she's in like the backstop area of where I'm going to shoot at. And she's like, I think we can get... Let me get a picture. I think we keep... Oh, yeah, I think we keep this one. That looks like a good one. Here. Calling it and shit. That was a very funny video. Thank you for that. Austin sent that video.
I hate to break it to everyone, but you guys do know that this whole like economic is on purpose, right? Because it would help our economy in the end. You know this, right? Because I'm seeing so much like misinformation on it. They have to do this in order to eventually lower the prices of things. That's kind of just like how it works. And you have to do this because there's literally no dinero left for anyone because the last 4 years went bye-bye.
Is that right, Queensy? Okay, let me see if I heard this correctly. So Trump is doing a terrible job at running the economy, or as you would put it, right? Just a miserable job. And you admit that, which is hilarious. But you say it's not what you
They're admitting he's doing a bad job on the economy because he's doing it on purpose.
think, okay? It's all part of Trump's secret plan for all of us to be better off later. And Queensy, you say that we have to do it this way. We have to run the economy into a ditch because...
I would love to just have gotten rid of this record. I was mean. I asked nicely the first 75 times I asked you to leave. That was my limit. After that, I'm like, get the fuck out, get in your fucking car and leave, Miranda. Anyways, I would love for the raccoon just to go away. The problem is where we live, we have to we collectively keep our trash in a truck, and then I have to haul off the trash every once in a while. It was like once a week when the campground's full, but with just a few people living by it, it's like once a month. It gets in there and rips every fucking bag open. So now I have to bag trash like 4 fucking times a month, and I still have to end up picking up all this nasty ass trash everywhere in the truck when I take off the trash. Like it wouldn't go in a trap. It wouldn't fucking be ran off. I used deterrent pellets. I used ammonia. I used all kinds of shit, and it just kept doing the same shit.
There's no more dinero. Okay, it has all gone bye-bye. Queensy, are you sure that you watched more than one YouTube video about this topic?
Of course
because
not.
It doesn't really seem like you have. So let me help you out here, okay, Queensy? The theory that you guys have to cope with why Trump is so bad at this is that if Trump can make the economy...
Real quick, chat. If the U.S. deficit, our debts, is on bonds, right? Bonds that we sold, U.S. Treasury bonds. Could we refinance that debt? Do you know? The answer is no, okay? The bond market is set, right, to do with like the stock market inflation at an interest rate, okay? And we sell that bond, short-term or long-term. I sell you a 10-year bond at 3% interest. Or I sell you a 1-year bond at 1% interest. Or I sell you a 50-year bond at 5% interest. It's already set. You wouldn't go to your bank and buy a CD and they guarantee you 10% interest on a 10-year investment. And then suddenly they're like, the economy went bad. We're only going to give you 1% interest. You're like, no, I signed a 10-year certificate of deposit for 10% interest. You're not going to change it's already locked in. So the only thing that we could change the interest rate on is future bonds we may or may not sell, future interest, which doesn't do anything to the deficit. They're talking like, oh, this is going to take our deficit down by 30%. No, it's not. It's already sold. They're already holding it. In fact, it's so bad that let's say a bank is holding a bunch of bonds, U.S. Treasury bonds, and they go bankrupt. We saw this with one of the hipster banks that went out of business, right? Let's say they're holding a bunch of bonds and they're out over their average bond, they got 6% interest. But right now our interest rate is 3%. Or no, let's say they're holding a bunch of bonds, but they bought them at 3% interest. And right now our U.S. government's interest rate, the Fed said the interest rate is 6%. They need liquid cash and they're holding bonds. They need to get rid of them fast. They're actually going to have to lose money to sell those bonds because they can't cash them in early, to sell those bonds to other banks. Because a bank's saying, why would I buy your bond at 3% and ride it out for another 5 years when interest is currently 6% and I could go buy one today from the Treasury for 6%? The only way they can make a good deal on that is if it was close to maturity. That's it. And you could get all their interest they had earned for like a couple weeks or a couple months or whatever, or a year. This happened with that bank out in California that was like the tech bank that folded, one of the first banks that folded last year. They had a bunch of bonds they had all bought up at 1.5% interest. The current interest rate was 7%, and they couldn't even sell the bonds to pay out the people whose money they folded with. They couldn't even get rid of them. Nobody wanted the bonds.
Suck really bad, then the Federal Reserve will lower interest rates, and then we can refinance our debt at a lower rate and save a bunch of money. That's the general idea, Queensy, but as usual, it relies entirely on the fact that Trump supporters have no fucking clue how anything works. Like this $36 trillion that we have in debt, it's not like a mortgage that we could just refinance and get a lower rate. This $36 trillion is made up of thousands of Treasury bonds and Treasury bills that are essentially loans that we've taken out over the years. Some are short-term, some are long-term, but all of them have their own interest rates that we cannot refinance. So if Trump crashed the economy to get better interest rates on the debt, he would only be able to get those rates on future debt. He would not be able to refinance the $36 trillion.
That's right.
So you guys are telling us you want to crash the economy, wipe out every grandmother's retirement plan, skyrocketing unemployment, houses foreclosing. Also, you can save a little bit of money on the interest rate on future debt until the economy gets better and the rates go back up. It's just a bad plan, Queensy. This is a terrible idea. And that is why 9 out of 10 dentists agree that every economist that ever existed would not agree that crashing the economy on purpose is a good plan, Queensy.
I don't know what the laws are in Tennessee, but we live in such a small area. I know probably 3 or 4 people who have pet raccoons.
They tell you it's sort of like slashing your tires to save money on gas, or punching yourself in the face to get some
slashing your tires to save money on gas, or punching yourself in the face to get some extra sleep.
Just not effective strategies, okay? So Queensy, you guys should just try doing a good job at running the economy, because sitting around doing a bad job while telling us you're secretly doing a good job is corny. So fuck the secret plan. Just do a good job instead, okay, Queensy? Just do a good job.
All right, here it is, folks. This is the motherfucker I blasted today. It's actually a really good shot. I was impressed. Boom. That's the pictures Mariah got. Out in the middle, not like it's overcast or not like the sunset. Like it was broad daylight. It was like, what, 4:30 or something? It was broad fucking daylight, and it did not give a fuck, dude. It's tore out so much fucking trash. So much trash. Fuck that motherfucker. Mariah couldn't just get one picture. She took 4, by the way. She probably took 30. She sent me 4. What, she'd taunt me. Asshole. It is no longer with us, guys. It is no longer with us. Did you guys hear the story about Amazon? So Amazon announced that, from an insider said that they were going to be putting the price of the what you're going to buy, and it would show how much the price had changed because of tariffs. Then the Trump administration got heard of it, and they got all pissed and said it was politically motivated, hit piece, blah, 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 blah. Then Amazon said, no, we were just talking about that for like this other shoot-off we were going to do. And then Trump called them, and Trump says, oh, they fixed, just watch this video. They're lying. They were going to do this, I think.
President Trump made sure that you will not see exactly how much his tariffs will increase the price you pay for stuff on Amazon.
Jeff Bezos was very nice. He was terrific. He solved the problem very quickly, and he did the right.
So he called Bezos and told him, don't do this
thing, and he's a good guy.
That was the president this afternoon as he was leaving the White House for his Michigan rally. The problem that Trump says Jeff Bezos solved for him was actually just an Amazon plan that was reported this morning. That plan, according to the reports, was for Amazon to put a separate number next to the price that you pay for each item. That separate number would represent the extra cost you are paying for that item because of Trump's tariffs. Well, when that report was published, the White House came out swinging.
It was reported this morning that Amazon will soon display a little number next to the price of each product that shows how much the Trump tariffs are adding to the cost of each product.
Every business should do this. Every bit. Why should the business get bad press and people thinking, God damn, I just bought this a few weeks ago and it was half this price, or it's 30% more now. Every business should do this and say, hey, this is the price, and $2.18 of that, it goes to the tariff.
So isn't that a perfect crystal clear demonstration that it's the American consumer and not China?
Because they're still lying to us, saying that China pays the tariff. To this fucking day.
Have to pay for these policies?
I will take this.
When they start admitting that consumers pay the tariff, we can take it down.
Since I just got off the phone with the president about Amazon's announcement, this is a hostile and political act by Amazon. Why didn't Amazon do this when the Biden administration hiked inflation to the highest level in 40 years? And I would also add that
that's it.
Surprised, because as Reuters recently wrote, Amazon has partnered with a Chinese propaganda arm.
So then, now suddenly they trust Reuters. I don't know if you remember this a while back, but Reuters was a political op-ed piece that we were subsidizing with millions of dollars because they don't understand what Westlaw is. Right? They hated Reuters, everything about it. Joe Biden, now they're like, Reuters says that Amazon's over here part of Chinese propaganda. This is wild they'd come out and say this.
And not China. Who is going to have to pay for these policies?
I will take this, since I just got off the phone with the president about Amazon's announcement. This is a hostile and political act by Amazon.
So what they're saying about Amazon, which you can still look down on Amazon for. I don't like Amazon. I don't like Jeff Bezos just because he supported Trump at all. But what they're talking about Amazon basically, because Amazon wants to be in the Chinese market so bad because it's a huge market, they were basically held, agreed to a standard that the Chinese leader's book would receive no under 5-star reviews. And apparently they did that for him. He reached out his propaganda wing people reach out to him, and they agreed to that because they don't want to get banned in China. But is what Trump's doing any better? Like, I understand hating them for that, but now Trump is calling them up and saying, "Don't put you're gonna put the fucking tariff there? Are you shitting me? We're telling people that China pays a tariff. How are you gonna put the tariff? Like, fuck that. This is no better than here."
Tariffs are adding to the cost of each product. So isn't that a perfect crystal clear?
Washington Post.
And not China.
Washington
to pay for these policies.
Post.
I will take this, since I just got
Thank you very much, Washington Post.
off the phone with the president about Amazon's announcement. This is a hostile and political act by Amazon. Why didn't Amazon do this when the Biden administration...
A hostile and political act. Why didn't Amazon do this when the Biden administration inflation went up? Is inflation a direct policy decision from the president? Does the president sign an EO that says inflation going up 200%? Did I miss that? Could you potentially calculate how much the president caused inflation to go up on a product? No. But can you do that with tariffs? The president, by himself, put these tariffs on. Check. You can literally calculate how much a price went up based on the tariff he put against that country. Check. It would be impossible for them to guess how much something went up for inflation directly due to Biden minus COVID and put it on their website, you fucking bitch.
Announcement. This is a hostile and political act by Amazon. Why did Amazon do this when the Biden administration hiked inflation to the highest level in 40 years?
That's exactly right. If Trump came out and said, everybody in the United States is going to have to pay a 15% tax because I said so, people would be, some people would be calling for his cultists wouldn't. They'd be calling for his head. They'd be in the fucking streets. But they call it a tariff, and people are like, hell yeah, art of the deal, baby.
And I would also add that it's not a surprise because, as Reuters recently wrote, Amazon has partnered with a Chinese propaganda arm.
I'll let you decide if you...
By the way, she said she just got off the phone with the president. It seemed like she came prepared with that little picture from the Reuters article, didn't she?
think this is a hostile or political act. But I do want you to understand the facts. Inflation is not a policy. Tariffs, on the other hand, are absolutely a policy. In this country, tariffs are set by the president. We know President Trump has imposed tariffs. Congress delegated the power of tariffs to the president long ago. So those are two very different things. But what I find interesting about this story is the spin from Amazon and from the Trump administration. To understand that, you need to understand the timeline. So shortly before the White House press briefing, Amazon started the backpedaling. They put out a statement saying this idea of displaying the cost of these tariffs was just under consideration for certain products on Amazon's offshoot website called Haul. They said the idea was never under consideration for Amazon's main site. Then later, Amazon said this idea was never approved and was never going to happen. Now, we know at some point this morning, after the reporting started, that President Trump picked up the phone and called Jeff Bezos.
A plastic owl.
Is when the company backpedaled completely.
Again, the company's going to say this was never an idea we even had. So short of Trump just lying and making it up, why would he say he had a call with Bezos and Bezos fixed the problem?
Denied that this policy was even real, casting doubt on the reporting. But that does not jive with what President Trump and the White House said. Trump said Bezos solved the problem. That implies that the policy was a problem and real. And the press secretary did not call it fake news, which she's not afraid to say about other reports. So the truth can only be one of two things. Either one.
The Trump would have said that's absolutely fake news. They never planned on doing this. Not Jeff Bezos fixed the problem.
The policy did exist, and then President Trump called Jeff Bezos to...
If you're mad about Amazon removing reviews for the supreme leader of China's book, then you should be just as mad because the U.S. president is supposed to be better than that for him calling Jeff Bezos and saying you will not put tariffs on your website to show people how much it's costing them.
Force Amazon to backpedal, or two, the policy never existed and the president and the White House are just making an example of this to dissuade other retailers from displaying the cost of Trump's tariffs. I will let you decide which one you think it is. But no matter which one you think it is, the other
Very important, right at the end. Listen to this very last question she asks. Very important.
Question you should consider is, why would the Trump administration be opposed to showing how much the tariffs are actually costing American consumers? President Trump...
Why would the administration... in any way, shape, or form, right? China pays a tariff. That's their stance. Why would the administration be opposed to a business showing how much the tariff is costing you when you check out? Shouldn't it be zero? Shouldn't it be none? Nothing? Nada? Negative? Why would they be opposed to that? According to them, it says... Trump, it should say Trump saved you money because China paid the tariff, right? Isn't that what it's going to say? We could get that dumb motherfucker that comes in and says, imagine I buy a candy bar for $1. To explain it to us all again. No? Fucking hate these people so much, man.
You can map it out. Like, all right, we got
okay, we already did that one. That's still scary. Well, let's do it again.
Buildings to take over within those.
By the way, please, 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 support the show if you can through coldbeer.fund or buymeacoffee.com/coldbeer, something like that. If you can't, make sure you're following me on my social media, if whatever accounts you have. So I have basically everything. I have Kick, or Twitch, Kick, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, Facebook, TikTok, Rumble, Bovada. Follow me somewhere and please be sharing out the link. We're trying to grow the show. I need to get it back self-sufficient again. Or we're going to have some major changes coming.
50,000, 7,000, millions of people to convince, tons of ministers. Like, I mean, that's decades of work. Or, hear me out. Hear me out.
I'm ready.
The president, the sovereign, the magistrate, Baron Trump, he comes out and he says,
King.
I've taken a task
Baron Trump, they're calling him.
force. We've gone through every website. We've driven by every building. And we have logged thousands of churches with pride flags out front. Women on the clergy. And there are soldiers on the street now. We are taking their property and we are giving it to the faithful churches in town.
Amen. Love it.
That is completely, historically, within the realm of the magistrate. He can do that. You are an apostate, wicked church. And you're building your land, your heritage is taken.
Seizing the land of any churches who has a pride flag or lets a woman preach.
From you. For this,
and their bank accounts and their buildings.
Magistrate, even in our American system, to say your property is seized and you're out on the street would be glorious.
And that's kindness.
That
You're
would
out
be
on the street, you're
The
taking your
street
property
instead
out.
of jail
Or the
guillotine.
moderate, soft position.
That is the
and that
moderate
is a
position.
united church. You can map it out. Like, all right, we got 57,000 buildings to take over. Within those 50,000, 7,000, millions of people to convince, tons of ministers. Like, that's
insane. That's insane. Oh my God, here's a transcript. On his knuckles, he had MS-13. There's a dispute over that. Well, wait a minute. He has MS-13. Well, on his knuckles, tattooed. It didn't say that. Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on. Wait a minute. Hey, Terry. He did not have the letters. Don't do that. MS-13. It says MS-13. That was Photoshop. So that was Photoshop? Terry, you can't do that. Hey, they're giving you the break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. I knew this would come, but I picked you, Terry, but you're not being very nice. He had MS-13 tattooed. All right. We'll agree to disagree. I want to move on. Terry, to something else. Terry, do you want me to show you the picture? I saw the picture. We'll agree to disagree. Oh, and you think it was Photoshop. Well, here we go. Trump, don't Photoshop it. Go look. All right. At his hand, he had MS-13. Fair enough. He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine, sir. No, Terry. I want to get to Ukraine. Terry, no. He had MS as clear as you can be. Not interpreted. This is why people, all right, no longer believe, well, the news because it's fake. When he was photographed in El Salvador, they aren't there, but let's just go on. They aren't there when he's in El Salvador. They weren't there? Take a look at the photograph. But they're there now, right? No, what? But they're there now. They're in your picture. Terry, Ukraine, sir. He's got MS-13 on his knuckles. All right, okay? We'll take a look at that. It's you do such a disservice. We'll take a look at it. We'll take a look at that, sir. Why don't you just say, yes, he does? And, go on to something else. It's contested. Ukraine. I want to turn to Ukraine. I was just in Rome, and that moving photograph of you and President Zelensky sitting in St. Peter's Basilica. Yeah, talking peace. It went around the world. Sure. Take us to that moment. Okay, he did move on eventually. They did get him to move on eventually. It wasn't easy. But they did get him to move on eventually. Oh, wow. You want me to show the photograph, Terry? We've had the experts look at it, and they've all decided. that first 100 days angry, what do we call it when I read shit? Dramatic reading. That dramatic reading for that interview might be even better. What did I tell you the other day about the RFK doctor? 3-4 days ago, we were talking about RFK doctor. Here it is.
You're going to not believe me when I tell you the history of the man chosen by RFK to lead the new study on vaccine safety and autism. His name is David Geyer. He and his father,
by the way,
established a network.
This TikToker is an actual doctor that gives out tips and shit, okay?
You're going to not
just so you know.
when I tell you the history of the man chosen by RFK.
I know when I start talking about stuff that sounds like it's below my accent's pay grade, people don't like to believe me. They're like, Will's a fucking idiot. Right? But this is an actual doctor without the thick Southern accent talking about it.
To lead the new study on vaccine safety and autism. His name is David Geyer. He and his father previously established a network of clinics claiming to treat autistic children. And here I should note that David Geyer is not a physician. He has no medical training. Their clinics were based on discredited theories linking vaccines to autism. Specifically, they promoted a treatment protocol involving a drug called Lupron. It's a hormone-blocking drug approved for prostate cancer and precocious puberty, and they claimed it could cure autism by lowering patients' testosterone levels. And to be clear, that is extremely obviously not true based on the scientific literature. What that means, though, is that advising autistic children to take protocols with that drug were not just pointless, but they were also dangerous. The drug's inappropriate use, like that, in children can lead to serious side effects, including bone density loss and damaging hormonal imbalances. David Geyer, who lacks a medical degree, was fined by the Maryland Board of Physicians for practicing medicine without a license. The Geyers also previously dabbled in research, and as you might now expect, that research was riddled with ethical violations. They created a sham institute.
I'm just telling you. I'm just saying. If you're visiting NASA and the head rocket scientist, the head rocket surgeon comes in and pronounces onion with a G in it, you're going to be like, I don't know about this. Maybe we're just wasting our money, okay? Maybe the guy that says onion is not the rocket surgeon we need right now. Like that Republican lady said, maybe this rocket surgeon just doesn't need a job right now.
Institutional Review Board, which is usually the ethical group that is supposed to approve or deny studies with human subjects, but they staffed it with family members and business associates who would then just approve their studies. And
so again, they were supposed to have a review board, an institutional review board, but they just put friends and family on it. And everything they did was so this should be an independent board that says, hey, we're outside the bounds here. This is unethical. We can't do this. This is a fucking war crime, something, right? But it was just their family and friends. So they were like, yeah, go ahead and give those kids puberty blockers or whatever. They got autism, right? Who are they going to tell?
The ethical
whatever they said.
Supposed to approve or deny studies with human subjects, but they staffed it with family members and business associates who would then just approve their studies. And IRB is supposed to be third parties of financially disinterested individuals. The Geyers have also been hired to appear in hundreds of vaccine-related lawsuits. A Washington vaccine court declared
a Washington state vaccine court declared the dad to be a professional witness in areas for which he has no training or expertise or experience. This is who's funding the who's in charge of the autism study for RFK Jr. The head of the autism study. A Washington court has already declared that he is a professional witness in areas in which he has no training, expertise, and experience. They go in and testify for vaccine injuries.
Geyer's father, Mark Geyer, to be a professional witness in areas for which he has no training, no expertise, and no experience. In other words, David Geyer and his father have a history of extreme grifting, pseudoscientific treatments for autism, and research misconduct. And that is the person.
By the way, thank God RFK found him before JFK Jr. found him. I'm sorry. Thank God RFK found him before Joe Rogan found him. I don't know why I said JFK Jr. Before Joe Rogan found him and had him on his show.
Person that RFK Jr. has tapped to lead a new study on vaccines and autism. Of course, Geyer is going to cherry pick data points out of context to support his pre-existing belief that vaccines are incredibly dangerous, regardless of whether those beliefs are contradicted by all the rest of the massive amounts of scientific data saying otherwise. You're going to not believe me when I tell you the history of
wild vaccine denier David Geyer who has long promoted false claims about the connection between immunizations and autism, has been chosen by RFK and the federal government to conduct a critical study of possible links between the two. He and his dad fabricated evidence to link vaccines and autism, and now he's supposed to be the impartial arbiter of truth when doing this research. Imagine we're at an event, and at this event, you can't take your personal belongings inside the event. You're worried about leaving them. So I find the only guy who's been convicted 50 times of petty theft, and I'm like, okay, you're in charge of watching everybody's personal effects. Ladies, leave your purses. Men, you leave your wallets. We're good. This is the guy who knows it better than anybody else. That's why the deadline's so short. They're just going to blame it on vaccines. I don't know. I wish somebody was making all this up. It's just a sad day, dude, honestly. It's just a sad day to be in America. Well, Dan, here is Trump. In the ABC News interview we were just talking about, saying, well, so it says, they hit me the first week, eggs, like it was my fault. I said, I didn't cause the problem. The problem was caused by Biden. What's the problem with eggs? They said, they've doubled it. Well, eggs are down 87% since I got involved. But we also just saw him say that eggs are down 94% since he got involved. To be fair, he only said Biden 15 times in this interview about his first 100 days. Why did the Senate approve Kennedy knowing him? The right wing does whatever Trump wants, and the left wing doesn't have enough votes to stop it. The Republicans just do what Trump wants. Even if they act like they're putting on a big show, they just do what Trump wants. And then the Democrats couldn't stop it. They tried. Saying Biden 15 fucking times in your first, holy shit. Your first 100 days.
He wasn't a member of a gang. And then they looked, and on his knuckles, he had...
Oh, I didn't know. Bug Dude sent me this too.
MS-13.
There's a dispute.
Well, wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattooed.
Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry. Terry.
He didn't
Terry.
have the letter M.
Don't do that, Terry.
It says MS13.
That was Photoshop. So let me
That was Photoshop, Terry. You can't do that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. I picked you, Terry, but you're not being very nice. He had MS13 tattooed.
We'll agree to disagree. I want to move on to something else.
Terry, do you want me to show you the picture?
I saw the picture. We'll
Let me show you the picture, Terry. Terry, I'll show you the picture.
Well,
here we go.
Don't Photoshop it. Go look at his hand. He had MS13.
He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine, sir.
Terry,
I want to get to Ukraine.
No. He had MS as clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why people no longer believe the news, because
when
it's
he was
fake
photographed
news.
in El Salvador, they aren't there. But let's just go on. They aren't there when he's in El Salvador.
They weren't there, but they're there now, right?
No,
but
they're in your picture.
Terry.
Ukraine, sir.
He's got MS13 on his knuckles.
All right.
Okay?
We'll take a look at that.
You do such a disservice.
We'll take a look at
Why
that,
don't you
sir.
just say, yes, he does, and, go on to something else?
It's contested.
He wasn't a member.
I can't even believe I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I can't even believe I gave him the benefit of the doubt when I was like, oh, he knows, he knows their Photoshop, but he's saying marijuana stands for M, smiley stands for S, the cross is 1 for some reason, and a skull's 3 for some reason. Like they tried to put it on Twitter as. I should have known. I should have known this fucking retard, dude. I should have known it. Should have known better.
Hello, my name is Jason, and I left MAGA. I supported Trump because I enjoyed antagonizing people. I feared responsibility. My alcoholism, which became a physical addiction, fueled obsessive behavior. This lack of rational thought...
By the way, these are the only MAGA people I feel any sort of way about other than fucking hatred, okay? The people that have come to realize like they wasted part of their life, they destroyed their family, they whatever, because they finally woke up. The people that are still under the spell, fuck them. I'm done with them. We'll find a different South American country to send them to.
prompted me to attend the Stop the Steal rally, where a violent riot broke out and we all competed for Trump's attention with a violent vengeance. The government held me accountable for my actions before I was ready. During my rehabilitation, I finally put the bottle down and was better able to understand the consequences of my actions. It was these actions that contributed to the horrific attack on the Capitol Police and resulted in the deaths of Officer Brian Sidnick, Officer Jeffrey Smith, and Officer Howard Liebengood. It was in their memory and the memory of former Trump supporter Ashley Babbitt that I refused Trump's pardon, because the pardon was both egregious and dishonest. Nothing about January 6th was pardonable. Unity contradicts Trump's lies. Thank you. Hello.
The people that know that that's like bullshit. So this person like didn't even accept the pardon. And that's it basically. We're thinking about launching some new merch if you're interested. Atsuko's been making these shirts in her Rice Dungeon. So if anybody's interested. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I'm out of here for the night. It's been a good one. I'm here for a good time, not a long time. Thank you guys for joining us. Please consider supporting the show or at least share it. Follow me on my social medias. I'm trying to get to 10K on TikTok so I can monetize it. In case I have another video that goes viral, at least it'll pay a few dollars. Like, it's not much, but, you know, a million view video, a few bucks, whatever. Anyways, thank you guys again for being here. Sticking with me through the tough times. Thank you. And consider supporting the show at coldbeer.fund. We'll see you in the next one. Love you. See you. Bye. I don't know where Atsuko comes with up with all these weird slogans. My dick has led me to places I wouldn't even go with a gun.
Don't have the fork and balls.
Then it says assholes live forever at the bottom. I don't know. You'd have to ask her.
Who they are.
It probably means something cooler in Chinese.
You don't have balls.
Like Happy New Year or something.
Okay, Scott. Here we go. I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best. You know that that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss 'em off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet.
And they say that I'm a lunatic. Well, listen, bitch, I came equipped with a quick wit and a sixth sense for the stupid shit.
If I have to go out in the middle of my town and start interviewing these racist MAGA motherfuckers around here, take my life into my own hands, I guess that's what I gotta do. I gotta get some views, boys. We got rid of all the MAGA retards. We gotta swing in some others or something. Some centrist, some regular fucking normal people. I don't know.
5G towers, cause you told him if he did, he get fucking superpowers. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them bets, you know that stage is set.
Bert says my neighbors are waiting to mollywop me.
I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet.
I used to find clues too when I was high on shrooms. I found myself a tunnel that led to Jason Q's bedroom. Open his closet, I found some of his meat rockets.
I should be going live about 8 p.m. I've just been on this schedule because I'm a fucking idiot.
Trump in between, put on a light coat of baby oil and saluted the troops. He tapped me on the shoulder and said, "This is good."
MAGA holds. Uh-oh.
Stop.
You still here?
What? I'll get my files. Wait, what are you doing?
Awesome.
Come on, fucking
Hang out.
Dude, come on. Seriously. This is my mom's an alcoholic. Give me a...
I like the word mollywop.
Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them bets, you know that stage is set.
Whatever blows your goat, brother.
Cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet.
I'll try to get here earlier tomorrow. We'll see what happens.
Down goes Nino. Please say it isn't so. Got him backed up on the ropes, trying to ram it down his throat. Now things are getting rocking. He was doing so well. It's all over. Hands on his shoulders, they ringing his bell. You got Frog News Network doing no damn research. They rework and copy on Cox that came first. 9th inning, second stroke.
I don't mind Trump supporters that aren't like, I mean, if you can admit when he lies, I mean, or when he's doing something against the Constitution without trying to make 1,000 excuses or interpret him or say that's not what he really meant. What he really meant, then I can care less as long as you know what's at stake here.
Bullshit, Will Bird, motherfuckers out here busting the grifts.
Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get
I would honestly rather have the one like that woman we listened to that's just like, we knew he was going to lie. We knew he was going to break the law and abuse the Constitution. At least she's being honest about it. It's the people that make a billion excuses and then lie to me when I see, like I just watched this and read it and they're like, that didn't happen. What?
You're a pussy.
Have a good night, guys.
Wearing aviator glasses in your mother's basement, and I won't even give out your dime store handle because that's really pathetic.
With his mouth open and drooling at Suko. Yeah, I saw that. They said he was praying before his mouth drooped open. And then I made a post that says prayer intensifies when his mouth came open, he started drooling. See you guys.